Okay guys, I won't do the whole intro since I'm just gonna upload this after the game I did 5 minutes ago. We have Crisis and Dragonfire, the rematch. I believe Crisis is on the left here, which is why I'm gonna load textures. So yeah, we had a heated discussion about how Crisis has so much trouble shutting down B8s, and how he can deal with just about any other ship in the Dominion lineup. And it is very interesting how, like I just said, even though the Dominion lineup is defined by such a large number of small ships, they still have the B8, and since it's a good all-around option, it is possible for them to escape the small ships entirely, which is interesting because, I don't know how to put it. Sometimes it isn't how many ships of a type you have. Like, even Klingons, they're defined by short-range ships because they have a lot of short-range ships, and yet they can get away with just doing Quebecs and Vorcha, and they will have, they can get away without ever building short-range ships. Which is a really good thing about this game, is you can never really count on the enemy to have a specific setup. You can only go with what you know is good, and what will counter the most situations. And then, you get flexible. So the map is Early Bird, and this one goes a long ways back. Boggs designed it as an alternative to Duel. Although I guess you could say he didn't mean it that way, it's just that any two-player map, any 1v1 would be an alternative to Duel. It is a very defensive map because the way it's laid out, you can reach your expansions to defend them, because of the way they have to go around here to raid people, and the other one down here, the defender can react a little bit faster than the aggressor. Although, that isn't that bad. But the defender he has a chance to cut off the attacker from making it home, and then you can get into a little chase where the raider can either try to fight his way back, or he can go all the way around to the other side and raid there. And so this used to be considered overpowered for Borg, underpowered for races like Dominion that are yard building heavy, because the moons were distributed. So now Boggs went back and he put them in pairs. So this is your very safe pair. And then this one is probably your standard one just because it's a lot closer to get to. Crisis has already gotten over here and scouted this out. This is another Breen avatar. And optimize, of course. Conduction matrix is up. I don't know if he got nodes level 1 yet, but there's an uplink. And here for the Dominion setup, he's gone, okay, he does have his first yard right for the prototype. Sometimes, if you were going bugs, you may want to just go 2 yards as fast as possible, but in this case, you're not even going to use your second yard for, whatever it is. Well, that's 30, so that means the total bar is 122 minutes just to build a prototype. So he's in no hurry. He gets that out. This scout deals slightly over 1 damage per second. This guy probably regenerates a hit point every 3 seconds. So it's almost tanking this. But it is time for... There's the first intercept skewb. We'll see the first probe. A lot of people come up with variations on Borg early game. I mean, back in the day it was always go 2 skewbs, 2 probes. Then Arash really made it popular to get a lot more skewbs, and with the periphery skewb and the Dode to cover their weaknesses, skewbs have become skewb spam has been a lot better of an option. However, Crisis is one of those players, he really likes to stick with the 2 skewb, 2 probe, and then work his way up from there. He really does like adapters, he was saying. So, this is going to finish. These Dominion construction yards, okay, the small yards anyway, they go up really fast. They're very quick to build. So, here's the fated battle again. Oh, this is close! Oh, you see that? It was too soon, I think. If that Skube had gotten there just a little bit faster. But you can see how the slowness of the Dominion miners, even though it was sitting right there, all it had to do was come down to the bottom and go in. It takes it a long time to do that. And this is bad. Crisis is really pushed off. And I have just had a phone call, so I'm going to pause real quick. Hey, and we're back. Sorry about that. I had to get that since I'm the only one home at the moment. So, Crisis is in a bad spot. That one worker, I don't know if it would have been worth it, but I'm really starting to see the power of these B8 starts. So he is trying to use this little shortcut here to get around, but with the amount of damage that Skube took, this is going to be rough. Down here you see Dragonfire has 2 on his Tritanium, 3 on his Dilithium. He does have his first non-prototype out. He's producing B8s out of 2 yards. Here he has 3 here, and he's about to get more Tritanium going. And he is taking over the proxy position. This is not very pretty. However, this time Crisis has got a very good shot to kill some miners. Gets a little bit out of position there and takes some starbase fire. But he's going to get 1 kill, maybe 2. Probably only 1, because Dragonfire was so quick on the retreat option. Oh, and they've switched! Why did they switch? There he goes for that. This collective uplink does not cost very much money. But the damage on these Skubes, that's interesting. From a mapmaker point of view, that does actually seem a little bit disadvantageous to Borg, since Borg's advantage is their powerful miners. But this home, these moons might be just a little bit too close to defend. Well, maybe not. I guess if the Skubes had come in around on the outside, they could have snagged something better instead of running through the middle like that. It's just interesting the way little things like that can make an advantage. Like, actually, having your starting moons close to your base is a big advantage for Romulans, simply because they have such ridiculous trouble keeping their miners alive. And their Lavals can raid the enemy even right next to the starbase, because they can just auto-repair. Whereas starting moons that are far away from the home base are a disadvantage for Romulans and an advantage for Borg and Klingons, the ones who have really, really tough miners. And to some extent Dominion. Like I say, they have tons of hit points, they're also slow. It really, really depends on whether there's a yard there. So, Dragonfire has his next pair. So he has 4 B8s, and he's about to round out the last 6. At which point, the rest of those build orders will drop. So, he's once again in this situation where his force of B8s, they're basically going to be unstoppable. He can rule the board with these guys, although he is at 0 supply. Now that's interesting. In this case, he is actually tri-locked, because the supply purchases cost the same amount of dilithium and tritanium, but tritanium mines slower. So it really is like they need more tritanium than they need dilithium. So, if Crisis can shut this down, he's definitely going to get a kill here. Dragonfire will have very little tritanium, and he won't have the supply to build more stuff. So he's going to have his 6 B8s and nothing else for quite a long time. And now these ships are in trouble. They need to run. They got their kill. Like I said, it's going to be very easy for Dragonfire to cut them off and prevent them from getting home. The Skubes are fast enough to escape, I think, but the probes, I don't know. So Dragonfire has laid a trap here. He's going to intercept them, and it's not going to be pretty. Unfortunately, they are firing on the healthiest probe. Oh, and these guys are going to get a B8 kill, maybe. Maybe. Stick with it. Okay, so Even with the incredible strength of these B8s, you shouldn't underestimate the incredible firepower of the early game Borg fleet. He's got one, and that is actually huge considering Dragonfire's supply issues. However, I don't think these probes, I don't think this stuff's going to get out. We saw, did the probe get away? No, I think they killed the probe. And that skube is going to die, so he's going to lose 2 skubes and a probe in exchange for 1 B8. And yet, he had to get that B8 kill. Nope, he's going to lose the probe too. So he lost his entire fleet in exchange for 1 B8. And 2 miners, 3 miners. No, 2 miners. However, like I said, he needed to do it. And now Dragonfire will replace that B8 because he'll go back up to his limit. Or actually, no, he can still build 2 more because I think he still only is at 6. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, including the prototype. So yeah, he can build 1 to go back up to 7. And of course, Crisis is getting his extra mining, well, 1 moon worth. And that's not something that Dragonfire could really mess with. And there is a sphere out. Okay. So Crisis was not just sitting around there. He has a triple regen torpedo sphere, which personally I still think Prime is better than torpedo, but this will give him that little bit of extra edge. And against the B8s, it isn't a real disadvantage, since the miss chance is kind of low. Yeah, so these Breen cruisers, they do extra damage to medium range. They have torpedoes, so they do extra damage to large. Well, effectively extra damage. And then they also do damage to battleships, extra damage, which this is not. This is a large cruiser. But they still do very nice damage. Unfortunately, I think they're even slower than the B8. Well, I say even. The B8 isn't that slow, but they're a bit slower. I'd almost expect to see Dragonfire pump out some bugs so that he can ram this sphere at just the right moment. Because this is going to be a terror sphere. I don't know if by itself it has enough damage to kill off some of these miners, but we shall see. And the firepower rains down, it starts attacking with its fancy 58 damage beam. Oh, this isn't good. Crisis needs to pull back. What are you doing? What are you doing, buddy? He's getting physics. Oh, he's physics blocked. Ouch. You don't realize it, but since this is a 3-dimensional grid that's just been limited, sometimes when your ship needs to travel straight up or straight down, it can really delay them. Oh, that was not a good physics block. Crisis doesn't seem to understand how much trouble he's in here, but he does get a B8 kill. I think he's just getting frustrated with how incredibly hard it is to kill these B8s. But he's going to lose the sphere, and I think the game's going to go to Dragonfire. Although the Breen Cruiser prototype is a very nice prize. It's a consolation prize. If he could get it. Ouch. Bye-bye. I shouldn't be so mean. This was a good game. Crisis played actually very well, which leaves me wondering if maybe the B8 needs to be tempered a bit. That was a very effective ship. It is interesting, though, the way that Dragonfire went all the way down to 0 supply, just getting those 7 out. Which is actually a bit surprising. It didn't seem like he did that last game. Maybe he bought supply last game and I didn't notice. Also, he has built a lot of workers. And his workers do take a bit of supply. So yeah, now the Breen cruisers are coming out, although I think it's been his best interest to get those 2 extra B8s first. This whole time he's been shamelessly fighting with his prototype. Crisis is pumping out skubes, but it's going to be a long time before he has the CC to do anything. He's got his intercepts cubes. He's looking to go harass. He'll probably kill all this. And he is mining over here as well, so... if you split miners, I think you do actually get slightly higher income, well, somewhat higher income from having 2 single dilithium miners on separate moons than on the same moon. And he's doing perfectly fine for tritanium, which leads me to believe he's bought nodes level 2, because that's very dilithium heavy. So, Crisis saw it coming though. Crisis has a scout. These cubes need to kill that scout, because they're never going to get any kills. This central corridor will help them get back and forth and duke out the B8s, because the B8s move at a speed of 100, and the cubes are what, 130 or 40? So they are much faster, and that's their big advantage. But they can't win in one-on-one. This is going to be a slaughter. All these long-range things. This cube isn't even in range yet. It's short range. The tremendous firepower. No, no, don't go out. Just head back. Yeah, head home. Kill the scout. The stupid scout. It's all his fault. Oh wow, I'm lagging out. I don't normally do that. Maybe I need to free up some RAM or something. Nope, there it goes. Okay, I should be fine now. So we did get the pesky scout. And yeah, Dragonfire knows he needs it. He's probably going to build 2 or 3 more. But he's actually got his Breen Cruiser production up now. In fact, he should probably take this prototype and set it aside. But now he's got these Breen Cruisers. Their weakness... That's the other thing is, in an attempt to make these really, really less flexible than they used to be, the Breen Cruiser now does super, super reduced damage to small, because they do 20% reduced in addition to their mischance. So that's their weakness. However, the Borg don't have small ships besides the probe, so Breen Cruisers are very, very difficult for Borg to deal with. They're also difficult for Romulans to deal with, because, you know, the only small ship for Romulans is the Rian, or the Shrike, but it's mostly just the Rian, and although that can be good, Rians aren't a good thing to transition into. They're only good if you rush them in the beginning. So Breen Cruisers very much cover the weaknesses of the Bug, which is kind of funny since the Bug has the 80 AI that is resistant to medium range, and Breen Cruisers are also resistant to medium. They also do extra damage to medium range. But the Borg and the Romulans, the 2 races that Bugs are completely useless against, neither of them have very powerful counters for Breen Cruisers. Whereas, you know, Feds have monsoons, which Breen Cruisers cannot touch, which is why you should never ever build Breen Cruisers against Feds. But they also have the Intrepid, which is good against Bugs. But handling Feds can get behind kind of hard for Dominion. But they have their B8s. Their B8s are good in any situation. So, by the way, he does have a supply mining up. He's not going to be buying for that anymore. He is going in. I don't know. This is a rather large fleet. He'll probably kill this conduction matrix if nothing else. Time for Crisis to build some extra uplinks in this space here. He will get a lot of miner kills, though. He may be able to kill every miner that Dragonfire has. That's just part of the deal. Oh, it's so pretty. And this conduction matrix is really cheap. It just takes forever to build. So this is a big time setback. There's 2 miners. That'll be 3 miners. These are all intercept cubes, I think. Yep. Keep going, buddy. It's all you. Okay, these aren't going to get killed, though. Conduction matrix down. And this uplink's going to get sniped, too. And this map just doesn't have enough space here. That's another thing, you know. There's so many little things about the map that can change balance. How much space is behind a base can be a big determination. And I don't think there's enough space here for him to build a conduction matrix, which means he has to either build it up top or down below. And since this is long range and these ships are long range, he will never be able to defend his conduction matrix with his starbase. So unless he pulls something fast, he's not going to be able to build any more ships for the rest of the game. They're going to snipe this. And that's the big problem with Borg, is even though their miners are resilient, their building is not. And here we see some bugs. I think these were probably just predicting a sphere. If a sphere came out, he could ram it. But now he sees there is no sphere. And these bugs can't handle this kind of firepower. There goes a Breen. And Crisis is actually going to have fun here. Even though I think he's lost the game, he is going to enjoy himself. He can almost kill this thing in the yard, but I don't think he can. There we go. Watch that bug die. Dead bug. Dead bug. Now they'll kill the... no. Kill the miners. There's so many miners. Kill them. Come on, you know he's not over here. Oh, come on, Crisis. Kill them all. Do it now. Yep, there goes the uplink. Here goes Crisis trying to build a new conduction matrix. And thus the other interesting thing is... oh, is it gonna fit? Is it gonna fit? No, it doesn't. So he has to make it around the corner. Where is he going? Where is it? Oh, all the way down there. Huh. Maybe that's the closest he could get it. So this is interesting, though, because, you know, it doesn't cost him anything to build the sucker. And he'll have an instant sphere, or he could almost have a diamond by the time his uplink is up again. He's got the resources. So... and that's the thing, is this fleet could stick around and try to shut that down. I really think he should have stayed over here, though, because he could have almost locked out Dragonfire from all resources. And even though a spear couldn't really kill this, it couldn't hurt. It never hurts to kill your enemy's mining. I'm watching for Dragonfire to build a bunch more constructors, but he doesn't seem to be worried. He knows how locked up Crisis is. Come on, Scube attack! Random Breen cruisers waiting to die. There we go. He's gonna mop these guys up. This is one of those interesting things where if Borg ships had ranks, he'd be getting a pretty heavily ranked fleet here. And these Breen cruisers gotta watch it, yep. Because they can't fire backwards and they can't get too far away from that yard or they'll die. So it is very difficult, even though they have such a range advantage. It's difficult for Dragonfire to keep them out of trouble. And here they come to kill the conduction matrix. Despite all this, Crisis is still mining down here, and Dragonfire may want to go lock that out. Come on, guys. Kill it. Watch this, they're gonna take it out. They're like, oh look, a building. What's the defensive? This is 120 defensive, so it does have quite a chunk of hit points. Which, I don't know, do these... I think these Breen torpedoes do reduced damage to buildings by 20%. They're sort of crappy, weird torpedoes. Let's see. They are very effective against battleships. I know it's 20 extra to battleships, 20 reduced to small. I think it might also be 20 reduced to buildings. Which is just, isn't that big of a problem. Oh, come on, come on. Kill the miners. Oh, there goes a B8. I think it just finished. Oh, there it was! I missed it there. He tried to get a sphere up. And did it die or cancel? I guess it died. Yeah, that died so fast. He didn't even have a chance to cancel it. And this is where, like I said, the Borg, they're not in a happy place if the enemy shuts down their uplinks. The Scubes have come in to suicide themselves in an attempt to save that sphere. Ooh, and a veteran B8 with 60 defense. And this is the one that has a chance to do double damage. Yep. 8% chance to deal double damage, which... Oh. How many crews on this thing? Oh, 725 crew. That's interesting. You can board people with that. I like that. But yeah, it has an 8% chance to deal double damage, but it has a whole bunch of little damage. So that just functions as a nice... What that really just means is an 8% damage boost. Which, I'm not complaining. 8% damage is a nice thing. And there's the GG. Very well played by both people. I don't think Crisis made any big mistakes here. I think he just got shut down by the strategy. And let's see if these guys come to talk to me. Nope. Oh well. I'm gonna see if I can get them to commentate anyway. And I'll just splice together.
And if I'd have been able to shake that pressure, I would have been able to put up 2 spheres and just taken him down.
Say that again, Dragonfire, what you said a minute ago.
Oh, I think Christ is a good opponent. Good Borg player. I had to pull off quite something to defeat him, I think.
It was weird.
I think...
It didn't look like the moons were that far away from the starbase. Like, you know, I mean, it didn't look like they were that close, but he took a lot of fire from the starbase.
Yeah, it was brutal in the beginning. Well, at least I didn't lose ships until I started getting really attacked by the B8s.
You moved in a bit too close to the mining station. Yeah.
Well, you see, I needed to get miner kills. I mean, against the Dominion, I think it'd be more important to get miners than take a bit of starbase fire.
Mm-hmm.
And
I think those 5 Scubes I built later were the best money I spent all game.
Oh yeah.
I lost so many miners here, and I even had to pull my miners from the mining stations and just position them near the starbase. I couldn't even mine for quite some time.
And honestly, I was surprised you didn't do more damage than you did. I was waiting for you to take the whole expansion out.
Well, 5 Scubes can't take stations down.
Well, but I mean all the miners.
Well, yeah, but he had cruisers there, and I was really just trying not to take damage and just hit and run.
Right.
He had that fleet. I didn't know where it was. My scout was on the bottom, and then it died, or I was on top and died, and I can replace it. And
yeah, it's just interesting because the Borg can lock people down by killing all their miners without killing any structures, whereas people lock the Borg down by killing their uplinks.
Yep. I lost like 4 or 5 uplinks that game. I was so mad. I was hoping I could get that sphere up, but saw it on the other side with the scout. And
I think the 2 most important issues were in the early game, where I could box in his early game fleet, his probes and scubes from 2 different sides, and kill them all except I think 1 probe escaped.
No, well, you didn't kill him until about mid-game when I had my sphere. I mean, you killed him right as I got my sphere.
Yeah, but I killed them all without losses. I mean, and then of course, yes, true, I lost an 8, which was already in the yard, almost. Yeah.
This map is very easy to defend. I want to try a Salar rush on this map, because...
Yeah, this map is extreme defend, because, you know, your expansions are really close, and the enemy has to go all the way around to attack, whereas you can go straight through.